Now we have a visitor from another star system. Again, we've been looking for these for decades, and we expected it to show up at some point. The object is quite large, and it's also aligned in its path with the plane of the planets around the Sun. Neil deGrasse Tyson recently startled many in the scientific and public spheres by asserting that NASA has held back critical information about 3I Atlas, information with implications that could shift how we interpret not just this object, but the very framework through which we examine interstellar visitors. The moment unfolded in one of Tyson's public commentaries, where he framed 3I Atlas not merely as a cometary oddity, but as a cosmic messenger whose secrets, he intimated, are being downplayed or filtered by official agencies. What he suggested matters not just for curiosity or speculation, but for how the relationship between scientists, space agencies, and the public may change in the face of unprecedented cosmic phenomena. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Tyson didn't claim that NASA lacks the capacity or motive to share. They undoubtedly do, but rather questioned what NASA chooses not to make prominent. He pointed to gaps in communications, selective image releases, and narratives that favor conservative interpretations. The underlying insinuation is that there may be features or data about 3I Atlas that, if widely publicized, would be harder to reconcile with standard cometary models. According to Tyson, those details are being held in reserve or presented only after framing them within a safe interpretive lens. The insinuation is potent. What if 3I Atlas is not exactly what it's being portrayed as? To explore what Tyson is hinting at, one must reconstruct what is known about 3I Atlas, and then consider what might lie beyond the veil. 3I Atlas, also designated C2025N1, is the third confirmed interstellar object to traverse our solar system after Oumuamua and 2I Borisov. And in many ways, it's proving to be the most perplexing. Its orbital parameters confirm that it's on a hyperbolic trajectory, never bound to the Sun. That alone signals an origin in interstellar space. Yet beyond that fact, its composition, behavior, and the pattern of released data are stirring intense debate. From the limited but growing body of observation, the James Webb Space Telescope has detected a coma rich in carbon dioxide, more so than water, which is unusual for comets of many solar system origins. That suggests either that 3I Atlas formed in an environment far different from ours, or that it has undergone processes unlike those typical of familiar comets. Early ultraviolet observations also show hydroxyl emissions, a proxy for water, at large distances, indicative of activity earlier and farther than one might expect. Spectroscopic studies indicate water ice grains wrapped in a dust matrix and an optical spectrum that resembles D-type asteroids, blending cometary and asteroid characteristics. That mix of features already stretches the envelope of conventional cometary behavior and is exactly the sort of anomaly Tyson's claim suggests NASA might prefer to cue cautiously. Where does Tyson insinuate the line is being drawn? He suggests that NASA's initial releases, which emphasize the cometary interpretation, may obscure alternative or more exotic possibilities until the known explanation is firmly rooted in popular and scientific frameworks. He warns that this is a pattern. The public is first fed the conservative narrative, and only afterward, in footnotes or technical papers, does the broader complexity emerge. In effect, he argues that NASA is controlling the narrative arc, not with malice, but with the discipline of institutional conservatism. If Tyson is right, the withheld pieces might include anomalous trajectories, odd emission spectra that resist fitting, fluctuations in non-thermal acceleration, or structural features in the nucleus or coma that challenge standard models. Precisely the kinds of anomalies that could spark speculation about non-natural origins. Tyson's subtext is clear. If NASA disclosed such anomalies too loudly, it would invite speculative theories about alien probes, non-gravitational propulsion, or exotic physics into mainstream conversation. Hence, the institutional tendency is to underemphasize or delay those disclosures until the dust settles. Consider the possible implications of Tyson's allegation. At the least, it would force a re-examination of how interstellar objects are communicated to the public, and how much the public trusts that communication. If NASA is seen to filter or manage what is revealed, then it could discourage open inquiry, fuel suspicion, or even promote scientific conservatism that ignores anomalies. In the case of 3I Atlas, stronger disclosure of anomalies could reshape interpretive debates. Is 3I Atlas a comet, or is it something more exotic? Is it powered purely by sublimation, or could other forces be at work? Could it represent a new class of interstellar object that defies our taxonomy? In the debate over Avi Loeb's speculative suggestion that 3I Atlas might be artificial, Tyson's stance becomes more intriguing. Loeb has proposed that some aspects of 3I Atlas, such as its trajectory and brightness, border on anomalies suggesting propulsion, structural shape, or design consistent with a spacecraft. Many in the scientific community disagree, citing Occam's razor and the need for extraordinary evidence. Tyson, while not endorsing Loeb's radical view, is pushing at the margins. If NASA is downplaying or delaying anomalies, then the broader community may be limited in its ability to test or challenge the official interpretive stance. In essence, Tyson is widening the aperture for speculation, not as sensationalism, but as scientific openness. But why would NASA ever restrain what it reveals? Partly because of the institutional burden of credibility. NASA operates in a delicate balance between wonder and caution. It must excite the public while upholding scientific rigor. If it blunders by promoting speculative claims prematurely, it risks missteps that undermine its reputation. Worse, premature disclosure of anomalies can generate conspiracy narratives, media distortion, and public backlash. In the world of space agencies, releasing the cautious interpretation first and letting anomalies trickle later is a defensive posture. Tyson's critique is that this posture, though understandable, may constrain the trajectory of scientific thinking. Furthermore, the way Tyson frames it suggests a deeper tension over epistemic authority. Who has the right to define what counts as an anomaly, and who decides when disclosure is safe? By insinuating that NASA selectively shapes the narrative, he reasserts the role of independent thinkers, observers, and skeptics. Tyson, after all, has long styled himself a public interlocutor for scientific literacy. In raising this issue, he is challenging not just what 3I Atlas is, but how science and agencies engage the public in frontier phenomena. Imagine for a moment that Tyson's insinuation is accurate, and that we next learn that 3I Atlas exhibits non-gravitational accelerations that don't align with standard outgassing models, or that it has structural asymmetries or radio emissions. Such revelations would ripple dramatically. They would push the object out of the comet box and make it a candidate for more exotic categories. They would raise the bar for how we build and monitor interstellar observatories. They could reignite debates about panspermia, extraterrestrial probes, or unknown physics. The weight of those revelations would force NASA and other agencies to recalibrate how they present future interstellar discoveries. Tyson's revelation, or rather his claim, is also a reminder that public trust is fragile. If the public perceives that information is being held back, even for benign reasons, then skepticism may override curiosity. Rather than celebrating cosmic visitors as collective exploration, the event becomes framed as institutional secrecy. That framing is exactly what Tyson wants to counter. He wants the public not to be passive consumers, but engaged questioners, demanding transparency and following anomalies wherever they lead. Beyond 3I Atlas, Tyson's broader message is to prepare for a new era of cosmic surprises. Interstellar visitors may not behave like our comets. They may challenge our physics. They may hint at biological or technological origins. The safe, conservative narrative may not suffice forever. By calling out NASA, Tyson is sounding a broader alarm. The scientific community must be ready to admit anomalies, question its models, and let the public in on the full texture of mystery, not just the polished veneer of explanation. The stakes are cosmic. How we interpret 3I/Atlas sets precedent for the next interstellar visitor. If we begin by erasing or softening the weird parts, we risk normalizing conformity. If instead we embrace anomalies, we allow the possibility that nature is more diverse than we imagine. Tyson is staking a claim for openness, not sensationalism, a claim that we ought to treat the cosmic frontier with intellectual humility, not narrative control. Sometimes the difference between a comet and a paradigm shift is not the data itself, but how we frame that data. Tyson's argument urges that agencies like NASA adopt disclosure philosophies that tolerate discomfort. Instead of containing anomalies, they should flag them, contextualize them, invite scrutiny, and resist the reflex to constrain public imagination. In doing so, the cosmic surprises of tomorrow, whether 3I Atlas or something even more unexpected, can spark science, not fear. Open inquiry, not defensive suppression. At its heart, Tyson's bold claim is a call to courage, to present science not only as what is comfortably computable today, but as what could rattle our expectations tomorrow. He's telling us that 3I Atlas is too interesting to be filtered, too puzzling to be pre-dosed, and too important to be sanitized. He's pushing for a future in which every cosmic anomaly, in full, unflinching detail, is laid before public discourse, so that the next great cosmic secret doesn't slip quietly into the footnotes. Because in the end, the universe doesn't owe us comfort. It owes us awe, period.